It's interesting when you can see a piece that demonstrates a creator's strengths and weaknesses all in one package. This is part of the 70s and 80s commission run for this year that I'm doing. And this is House of Games. I had not seen this before. This is a David Mamet joint. Now, Mamet, oh boy. I do not want to get into the man's politics because he's always been kind of a little bit up and down, and he has gone pretty well off the rails in the last few years. I'm not dealing with any of that. I'm just telling you to let you know. I'm aware. You don't have to comment. You don't have to tell me. But here's the thing with him. I think, and I don't think it's a controversial thing to say, that he is a skilled writer. You don't have to like what he writes. You don't have to like the themes that he does or anything else, but I think he has skill as a writer, primarily as a playwright, to some degree as a screenwriter. But the best things that you can find that were written by him were, by and large, not directed by him. Of the times he's tried to direct, there's two that I think are actually pretty decent. One is Heist, the other is State and Main, and in both cases, I'm going to say largely due to the cast. Not to say the scripts aren't good, but this kind of illustrates why I would never describe David Mamet as an actor's director. Because, boy, if an actor does not innately have an understanding of how to deliver the kind of lines he writes, they flounder, and you can tell they either got very little direction or very bad direction. So this is, okay, I don't know how well known this movie is. I didn't really know it, so let's sort of go over the premise. This follows a psychiatrist who's also an author, and she, through kind of a thing of trying to help out one of her clients who's in a little bit of a jam for owing money, she kind of falls in with this group of con men, and she's very lured in by them and wants to get a better understanding of what they do and how they operate, partially because she's kind of floundering herself right now, just in terms of her own life. And she wants to, have that thrill of writing a book again, but she doesn't have a premise, but writing about this could be it. So she gets in with Mike, who is our sort of our co-lead in this, and starts to be shown, some of the ropes of con artistry. Mostly short cons, and things kind of escalate from there. All right. I have not seen Lindsay Krause, who is the lead in this, in very many things, I have to admit, but going off of what hazy memories I have of what I have seen her in, I want to think, and I want to say, she's better than this performance indicates. I think what Mamet was going for, what he was trying to have happen, is the kind of femme fatale, like slight detachment, like that coldness where you can't fully get a read on her, but you're kind of drawn to her anyway. I think that's what he was trying to have happen. But first of all, there's a reason those kinds of characters are generally supporting characters and not leads. Because as a lead, she's not even hard to read or mysterious. She's wooden. And I don't know if that is him giving her bad direction or just not giving her any direction at all, because some of the smaller parts who also deliver their lines really badly, those I feel like are actors who are floundering and desperately hoping that the director will guide them, and he's just not. Now, do I know for certain that's how it happened? No, I don't. But there are certain writers who can write stuff that almost any actor can find a way to like really dig in and do something with. There are other writers who, if it lands in the lap of the wrong actor, it's going to land really flat. I usually actually tend to cite George Lucas on this because while you can talk about some of the bigger ideas and the structural nature of things like the Star Wars prequels being worse than the original trilogy, most of the dialogue, at least, is not that much worse. Most of it's about comparable. The difference is he got so lucky, especially in that first movie, that Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher were actors who were able to massage this nonsense he wrote and make it sound engaging. But then you get to the prequels and you get a whole bunch of actors who don't know how to make this work, including some really good actors, but they give really wooden performances because how do you work this stuff? And that's kind of what I feel for a fair amount of the performances in this. And unfortunately, crucially, the lead performance. Now, that's not to say that there are no good performances in this. You can tell which actors have very easily found the way to approach these lines. Joe Mantegna, who is who plays Mike, he's definitely got it down. Ricky Jay, who appeared in a fair amount of Mamet's movies, he can do this stuff in his sleep. Most of the con artist characters are holding their own. It's the rest of the cast that feel like they're floundering, and I don't know if that's an issue of Mamet's focus and attention, and he's just letting the parts of the story that he's not as into just kind of flap about in the wind, kind of aimlessly. Like, by the time it's done, I don't think Mamet actually, and I don't know if this is the case, but the impression I'm left with is that Mamet didn't actually care that much about his lead character. It was just the character that the story he wanted to tell actually needed, but he actually wanted to tell the story about the con people, but he needed an outsider for the perspective of everything else going on and for the rest of the narrative to work, which is true, but like, I really get the feeling he didn't care about his actual lead character. That's just how it comes across. And it's a shame. And because I like con movies, I like con artist movies. The fact that I do might also have hurt my viewing experience of this a little bit. This is going to veer a bit into spoilers if you haven't seen it and you care. My overall assessment is, if it's your first con movie and you can get over the performance of the lead, it's worth watching and you might even get some surprises out of it. But I think now I'm going to get into spoilers, or at least brush up to them. Having seen as many con movies as I have, I think this was way too predictable for me. Now, I've seen some arguments that guessing where some of it's going is a feature, not a bug. That's an interesting argument to make. I'm not sure I agree, because the way it's paced doesn't feel like it's paced and presented in a way where the expectation is that the audience is ahead of the lead. It feels a little bit too drawn out for that. Like, and if that's what it was going for, then it fails because we spend a bit too much time with characters that we are ahead of, not yet figuring out what it is going on, and we're kind of just waiting for them to play catch up. And that's a hard balance to hit. You can have the audience ahead of your characters, especially if you're going for a real sense of dramatic irony. And maybe he was, but again, it just kind of falls a little bit flat. So, yeah. I mean, like, if you want recommendations for con movies, The Sting. The Sting is the all-timer of con movies. Probably always will be. But this isn't trying to be The Sting in its defense. It is taking a different approach to it. And I can see most of at least the writing decisions and how they were landed on. And I can understand all of them, but yeah, it just doesn't pull together. And maybe in the hands of a director other than Mamet, because like I said, most of the best stuff Mamet has written and has resulted in actually good movies were directed by other people. Glengarry Glen Ross, Ronin, etc. Like, there are good movies that he wrote, and generally other folks directed them. So I think maybe in the hands of a different director, this might have really pulled together. As it is, it's not. I'm really hesitant to say that it's trying to be neo-noir. I think about it like it could have been neo-noir, absolutely, but it's not really visually presented in that fashion. It's, again, a little bit too flat. And maybe the problem is, I think this might have actually been the first movie he directed. Maybe part of the problem is his roots are in theater. Like, maybe that's part of the issue, though that still wouldn't cover the performances from some of the actors. That, I think, is a problem regardless, but that might account for the really flat and uninteresting shooting style that most of this is done in. I feel like this is something that could actually make it for a decent remake. I think this is something that it begs for a stronger stylistic hand in the presentation, and it just doesn't have that. And yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. It's a movie with some good bits, some potential, couple of decent performances, couple of good scenes, couple of actors I like doing okay, and then a lot of stuff that I was just kind of like, okay, yeah, okay. So yeah, I don't have that much to say about it. Yep, that was Mamet. House of Games. Did you ever see this one? If you have, what did you think about it? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you haven't seen it, what's your favorite con movie? Don't say The Sting. I already called dibs. If you want to praise The Sting, go ahead. It's a movie worth praising. But don't worry too much about it, though. Patreon's what pays the bills, and in fact was how I was commissioned to review this. If you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. Those help as well. But hey, don't sweat it. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can just come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Jared Boyce, Zubin Lufula, Monty Kate 808, Mira G, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Movie Turtle, Oliver B, Sean Miller, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Alyssa Pedersen, Mary Mello, Becky Sparks, Loki Eris, Tracy Scrabbit, Pau Barabajoggle, and Sir Didymus is my favorite, as well as Welsh Wrestling Geeks. So, folks said they wanted the rats back. Here they are. I really should have not worn something that exposed this much skin. Their nails are sharp. Ow. Oh, you guys. Get back here. Butthead.